What's going on, y'all? So we are back again for another episode of Queen Sugar Season 2. Wrong. Season 1, Episode 11. Okay, so last week was not the season finale. We got another episode next week. I think it's 13 episodes now. Whatever. It's getting real good, okay? Because now my interest has peaked, but like really peaked. Because this storyline with them in this seeing what they gonna do with this farm and stuff, it is about to get juicy, and I'm about to be pissed off, okay? Because motherfuckers think we are still back in slavery. I mean, prior to 1865. You know what I'm saying? They really trying it. That slave master ass thing that came up. But anyway, when we first start the episode off, first of all, let me just say, woo. The actor that plays Ralph Angel, he retweeted in favor of my tweet. Y'all know I love me some Ralph, okay? But anyway, let me stop playing with y'all. Y'all like, bitch, don't you like, you don't even like dick. I don't. Okay? I don't. It's just that he's very good to look at. Anyway, I don't have to explain shit to y'all. Fuck y'all. Moving on. Cream sugar. Woo! Queen sugar, bitch. Anyway, and I'm not editing none of this shit. So, we start off with Nova coming up to her house, okay? And then we see somebody laying down on her porch and everything, and we're like, who the fuck is this? Girl, it's Too Sweet. Okay, last week, remember when Taz came over there and he came over to her house and told her that, it's a shame what happened to Too Sweet and his family. So apparently, that when Nova took that money out the company account, um, for the farm or whatever, she used it for the bail, for Too Sweet's bail. And I guess obviously he got out. He was laying on her porch. She was like, "Oh my God, Too Sweet, where have you been? We've been trying to find you, contact you." He said he been downtown. I couldn't make it out. Did he say he was like trying to get into a mission or something, which is like a shelter or whatever? And then, he was just all in his, he was just broken. Okay, he was in his feelings. He was just sad. He was everything. If he was just in a weakened position, and Nova was just there to cradle him and rock him and tell him it's all going to be all right. You can stay with me as long as you need to, you know. And it's just so sad the way that everything was going with him. But it is so good to see that he has somebody in his corner that is looking out for him with good intentions, okay? And it just brings back some stuff like we see all this stuff that's been going on, and I just wish that a lot of these men and women who are unjustly locked up, or even not just men and women locked up, these young kids out here have mentors that actually care for them that way, who wants to motivate them and see them do good and better themselves, like Nova is doing for Too Sweet. So we get this scene with Ralph Angel and Darla and Blue. Blue is getting ready for school, and he winds up telling Darla that he don't want to go to school. He don't want to go to school because he's getting picked on, bullied by this little boy named Jamal. He said that he was gonna tell the teacher, but Jamal tricked him and said that, if you tell, he was gonna beat his ass, okay? So Darla is like, fuck that bitch. Okay, let me tell you something. What you not gonna do, you not gonna let no little bitch punk your ass. That's how she was coming at him. So what you gonna do, you gonna right hook, left hook that motherfucker, okay? And so they playing around or whatever. Ralph Angel comes in there, and I'm thinking that, oh shit, Ralph finna snap. But Ralph, they tell him what's going on, and Ralph start playing in on it too. And they had this little family moment, okay? And Ralph and Darla all of a sudden locks eyes, and I said, mmm, mmm. What's finna happen? Okay, and then they didn't do what they was gonna do. They just let that shit slide, and they was like, "Come on, let's go eat breakfast and all that stuff." Then we get this little scene with Micah and Charlie. Charlie is telling Micah, you're going to the private school or whatever. Um, I guess the dad then put a sizable donation down because he was like, I thought you and daddy had to go down there and talk to him and all this stuff. It was like, well, your daddy put a sizable donation. I said, bitch, money talks all the goddamn time, okay? And so, she cleared that away. And he was all happy and stuff. And then he said, Mom, I'm finna go walk Kiki to school. And she was like, Kiki? Walk? What y'all finna do? No, Mom, we just friends and all that shit. I was like, yeah, just friends that you like that make your dick hard. Okay. Anyway, look, Unvi is at the restaurant, at the, what is it called? Whatever, at the diner. Yellow Light? I think that's what it's called. It's yellow something. At the diner, and she's changing a lot of the things around, and Clyde is, unsure of stuff because apparently Clyde don't know what the fuck he doing, all right? Because they are in the black. Well, the red, I should say. They're in the red, trying to get into the black. And the fact of the matter is, the restaurant is failing, okay? They're losing money. They haven't really turned a profit. So, Vi comes up with this idea. Let's turn it into like a club-like turn-up spot, after spot or whatever, on, not necessarily a club, but like a little juke jive or some shit like that on the weekends. He saw the alcohol coming in. He said, is that hard liquor? It was like, I mean, it's only for 2 days, so what are you tripping for? And was like, my Bible study, my church study come up in here, group in here. They was like, bitch, they know Jesus turned water to wine too. So, it's only for 2 days. And you having all this come in, this is going to bring profits, and it's going to put us in the black and stuff like that. So he just had to let that go because Unvi surely knows what she's doing. Charlie meets up with Remy, Ralph, and Nova to speak about what's going on with the farm. They let Remy know exactly everything that was happening about how, the Boudreaux and the Landry family. I don't care if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Y'all know who I'm talking about, okay? On the farm or whatever. They trying to get that little piece or whatever. And they own their family and things of that such. And they're just sabotaging stuff. And that they own all the mills. It's 3 mills in St. Joe's Parish, okay? And they own all 3 of them. So they're like, how are we going to go outside of them and get our sugar cane? And, by the time we do certain stuff, we don't want the sugar cane to crystallize. We don't want to lose out on this money. So Charlie comes up with this plan to go to another parish, I think it was St. James or whatever, which is 16 hours away. And so they was like, how are we going to do that? That's cutting it close. Remy was like, you know what? It can happen. We can make it happen. Lease the trucks and all that stuff. Put in a loan application to get a loan for, the money and all this stuff to get everything up and running to, pay the workers, pay the farm, get the trucks and all that stuff because the count that they have now is closed because Charlie let them know that she filed for divorce, and the joint account that her and Davis have, they basically saying that not to use it, so she don't have access to it for right now, and so that's why they have to get the loan. Okay, so they was gonna do everything that they have to do. Everybody's on the same page. Next thing you know, Remy and her was kissing and stuff. They talking and stuff, and like, I liked you, and I like you too. Mm-hmm. So they start kissing, and at this moment in time, who decides to walk in? Because, I guess he was through taking Kiki to the place or whatever. He come back and their Mama and Remy kissing is little Micah. Micah gets in his feelings, okay? Now, it's understandable that you will feel away because you're so used to your parents and stuff being together. And I guess in his mind, because he is a child, he's used to that, regardless of the fact that your father fucked up. But he's in his mind thinking that it's too soon to see my mom move on this quick. Like, and I'm sitting here like, I mean, the papers been filed, okay? These ain't separation papers. These are divorce papers. And after all that shit and public humiliation that happened, I knew Charlie wasn't going to go back. I mean, she ain't no dumb bitch, okay? So moving on from that, I said, Micah, be mad for a second, but then you have to let your mama live and look at it from her perspective, okay? And, Darla taking Blue up there to the school. She meets Miss Velez, okay, his teacher. And Miss Velez did not know who Darla was. And so she was like, so Ralph let you bring him up here? Oh, that's cool that Ralph let the babysitter bring him up. She was like, bitch, hold up. I'm not the babysitter. This little boy came out of my uterus, okay? He slept there for 9 months, bitch. That's who I am. She was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Blue, he draws a lot of pictures of you. You want to come see him? She was like, no, it's okay. It's a lot of stuff that's going on. Do you know about this little boy messing around with Blue and all this stuff? She was like, I didn't see anything. I didn't notice or anything that was happening, but I'll keep an eye out for things. And she was like, if anything happened, could you just here's my number, call me and update me on a lot of stuff. And she was like, cool. And I was like, oh, okay. She give her the number and that's fine. Charlie, she comes over to Nova's house and she's all befuddled and in her feelings and, mixed emotions because Charlie is just, she's under a lot of stress. She's about to divorce Davis. Her life is turned upside down. This information that she just found out about this farm, people keep fucking her over and now her child is mad at her. So she's letting all her frustrations and her feelings out to Nova and telling her about Remy. And Nova was like, she was like, girl, let me tell you something. Because Nova was telling her, Micah is 15 years old, okay? He's a child. Of course, he's going to feel a certain way, but you got to live for you too, okay? You got to take time out for you too. And he was like, you out here with Remy and whatever. She was like, I'm with him. I like him, but we ain't go there yet, okay? I've been with Davis for 18 years. That's like over half my life. I said, okay. And she said, I never even been with another man. I said, wait a minute. Me and Nova looked up like, bitch, hold up. 18 years, you had one dick in your life. She said, bitch, I had boyfriends in high school and stuff, but we ain't never go that far. I said, whoo, girl, go out and get you some, okay? Do not feel, when she put that information out, I said, girl, fuck your son, okay? Fuck your son's feelings right about now. It is time for you to go out and play the field, okay? Go do what you gotta do, okay? Heal yourself, all right? You deserve this shit, okay? While you up here being faithful to this motherfucker for 18 years, he's out here getting all type of puss in the motherfucking world, plus yours, okay? Girl, go out there and do you. Don't feel bad. So, Nova was like, I got something for you, okay? I'm thinking she finna go get her some weed or something to calm her down and all that stuff. This, cause Nova is the weed woman. She's the medicine woman. Child, she started doing some voodoo stuff, praying to the god Oshan. The first time I heard about her was when, Beyonce video for Hold Up came out and she was basically paying homage to her. If you did not know, go look that up. And I was like, all right, I know who she talking about. Okay, and she was just, you gotta open up yourself to pleasure and free yourself and do this and free yourself from pain and all this stuff and praying over her pleasure centers. And I was like, why is she bucket naked? Well, she almost bucket naked. I said, you gonna let your sister see, but y'all family, so okay, whatever. And Charlie on that floor like, girl, what the hell are you doing? She said, bitch, shut up, okay? And then she started really chanting. I said, you know what, I'm not gonna come down on coaches and stuff like that because this most likely is part of my culture. She said the Nigerian guy, y'all know I'm part Nigerian. Yes, I am. All right. So it's just like I get it. I get it. And I love the history. I really do. Y'all need to just look up the guys and stuff and that they have in Nigerian culture. Oh, it's so interesting and fascinating. It really is. But I would have been laughing my ass off. I can't keep a serious bone in my body right now when we doing this in the scene. I would have been laughing my ass off. We would have had to do at least 5-10 takes, okay, till I get it out my system. All right, but she's opening up her pleasure system. Like, girl, open up yourself, free your mind, let your body do what you need to do. Okay, don't feel guilty about wanting to be loved and all that stuff. And I love the fact that hold on. Am I getting ahead of myself? Oh, yeah, let me get back to this. So there is this parent-teacher conference that's going on. And we inside this classroom and we see this couple, okay? And the wife is clearly looking like, the fuck I'm here for. Oh my God, like this is some bullshit. The husband too, they just got this nasty ass attitude looking, okay? And Darla is there too. Then here comes Ralph Angel. Okay, so this couple is the parents of the little boy Jamal who was bullying Blue. And then apparently he didn't push Blue a little bit too far. That Blue took Darla's advice and said, "Bitch, what you won't do is fuck with me no more. I'm gonna give you something to remember me by, just in case you thought that you can do this shit to me, because I'm not gonna take it." So apparently, according to the boy's mama, Jamal is walking around with the ice pack. I said, "Damn, Blue got them hands." Okay. I mean, violence is not good, but hell, if you provoking a bitch, that's what happened. And they was going back and forth. And then did you hear the daddy say to Ralph, not necessarily to Ralph, but under his breath, "Is that the little boy who walk around with the Barbie doll? You need to get your son some suitable toys and stuff like that." I said, "Bitch, if you don't get the fuck up out of here, I can't stand when another person try to talk about another person's parenting. Like, bitch, you concern yourself with your child, and while your child up here thinking that it's okay to bully people." And when he said that, I saw exactly why. Okay, it's a learned behavior. It's a learned fucking behavior that goes on in that motherfucking family. And Miss Velez had to tell him, "Okay, we can calm this shit down, because at one point in time, Darla was getting bucked. She was like, your son was bullying my son. So therefore, I told my son, don't take that shit." And that's exactly what happened. Now keep it up. It's going to keep on going. Ralph was sitting there getting turned on like, "What she said, bitch." That's how he was sitting there. Like, Miss Velez was like, "Okay, we need to calm down, calm down. We don't do the bullying and we don't do the violence. Now, if anything like this ever happens again, whether it's the violence or the bullying, both sons or both of y'all kids gonna have to get out. Or it's gonna be some action being taken upon both of y'all." So at that moment in time, the Jamal parents leave, and then, Ralph and Darla, they doing their thing, and they connecting. So when Ralph and Darla leaves out, Miss Velez is looking like she dead in her feelings. That's how she was. She was dead in her feelings. Like, why this bitch had to come back? Like, I really wanted that piece of chocolate. Like, we could have made a chocolate churro with each other. You know what I'm saying? It just could have went down. That chocolate with my Mexican or my Latina spice up in there. It could have just happened. And then as she wanna come in here and throw her little mixed vanilla up in here, I just don't understand. It's just, I really wanted him. She was salty as shit. Okay. Then we get to the scene with Nova talking to Too Sweet, and Too Sweet is just down on his luck. He just don't know. He don't know what to do. Okay, and his spirit is so broken. And she was just trying to tell him, you can go back to school. They don't want me in school or whatever. Well, you can go to another school, and then we can get you into a community college, and we can get you into whatever it is that you need to do. But you're gonna get your graduation. You're gonna get whether it's your GED or not. You're gonna pass, and you're gonna get this. And she was just trying to encourage him and stuff like that. And this whole scene with Too Sweet, what it reminded me, especially when I saw this scene, it made me go back to the beginning when we first saw Too Sweet until now, and his whole situation being in that jail. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of the guy Khalif Browder or whatever, the one who was falsely put in jail, and they was trying to make him plead guilty to something that he didn't do. And they was like, "If you just plead guilty, you'll get out." But he said, "No, I'm not going to plead guilty." So they put him in Rikers Island for 2 years or so, and he was being tormented by the prisoners and the guards and stuff like that. And eventually they let him out. Okay, and he was very young, and because of they was trying to break him, and they eventually broke him, because once he got out of jail, he couldn't get back on track, and he wound up taking his own life by hanging himself. That's what Too Sweet situation was so much reminded me of. Like, how this system just breaks people. Okay, and when people don't have people by their sides to, constantly be there. And his mama just died too. Oh my god, so sad. But that's what it reminded me of. Charlie, she gets invited to this brunch that's going on with the school, and all these hoity-toity rich people or whatever, the governor, the owner of this basketball team that's down there, and to make nice and seal the deal for Micah to be there next month, well, coming fall. She has this conversation talking to Aunt Vi about it, and they start talking about Davis, because Davis is a free agent, and he's not coming back to the Guardians where he was on. And Vi was telling her, it's a good thing that you noticed, about, I guess she mentioned something about Micah and the divorce and all this. And she was just telling her, it's good that you realized that you needed to get out of this situation. Okay. It's good that you don't have a Jimmy. It took me a long time to realize that I deserve respect. Okay. I deserve that respect. And I love that conversation between Vi and Charlie. Like, don't feel bad. Okay. You deserve more than this. All right. And Charlie told her, Hollywood ain't no Jimmy, okay? You said it yourself. You need to give him another chance, okay? You need to start buttering him up and give him another chance because that man is trying. You know that man wants you and all that stuff. And so, did y'all notice that Charlie was playing with the ring and she put her ring on or whatever? And Charlie goes over there to see Ralph Angel. He planned to bake some stuff with Lil Blue. Blue asking if Mama coming over, and at that moment, that's when Charlie come in and he telling her about Remy had asked a guy to come and appraise the land, okay? And he was like, the 300 acres, if they get it right and everything stay on track, they can get 1 point something million dollars for that whole shit, okay? And if they do all 800, they can get 4 point something million dollars. I was like, oh shit, can I get some? He was like, can we celebrate all this stuff? He was so happy. I was like, baby, calm down. Calm down. Y'all ain't did shit, Chad. I mean, them numbers is just numbers, okay? But you gotta put in the work first. When you see the product and the end results, then you can celebrate. Okay? Boop, boop. And so Charlie was like, calm your ass down. And then at that moment in time, they hear a horn honking. Bitch, why Jacob Bordeaux come up on their porch? I said, no, the fuck you didn't. You had the audacity to come to my house just because I didn't give you an answer about whether or not I'm gonna take that $4 million from you to sell my land and all this stuff. And they had to tell him, we not selling. We know the history of this land and all this stuff. He was like, well, how y'all gonna get y'all cane and stuff done? We own all three of the parish. Oh, so y'all gonna try to go around? Let me tell you something. It's not gonna happen. I'm gonna get this shit one way or another. Okay? He was like, what? The same way that you tried to do with my daddy? Bitch, you ain't finna try me right now. And then he was like, well, let me tell you something. Because Ralph was about to whoop that ass, okay? And Charlie had to tell him, calm down, baby. Calm down, Shop. I got this. He was like, we'll see what's up. We gonna see what the fuck is up because we not backing down, okay? We know how your people roll. And then Jacob gonna say, oh yeah, I saw that loan application that you did. And let me just tell you this, it's been denied. I said, you gotta be out your goddamn ever-loving mind. I was like, look at this slave master ass shit. All right? Slave master ass shit. It just irked my nerves. All right? After that, Charlie winds up going to the little function and she connected with the guy who was the owner of that basketball team, and he was talking about whether or not Davis would be interested in coming down there and being on that team, and he was like, I don't think I got enough money for him. Would you think he'd come down there for 15 million? And it was like, stranger things have happened. We can negotiate this and we can negotiate that. And he was just surprised that she was doing all this stuff and still trying to pump Davis up and all this stuff after what happened, after her being publicly humiliated and shit like that. And, she said, what happened between us happened between us. But let me tell you something. I run a business, okay? I'm part of a business that is the David West brand. I said, bitch, you better go ahead and use that nigga and get your money, all right? She set her personal issues aside and put that business on top. She said, yeah, that motherfucker may have fucked on me, but bitch, I'm in this shit. My name on this shit too. So therefore, whatever the fuck he get, I'm getting too. I said, go ahead, Charlie. Charlie gave my respect right then and there because I don't think I could have did it. I would have cut all fucking ties. I don't care if that motherfucker dribble a ball down the court or whatever, okay? But then she got to think about her family and stuff, and they need that shit, especially in this situation. They ain't got no money, all right? So They back at the the diner. They're getting ready. Nova got Too Sweet there, introduces him to everybody, and he's polite, asks him where the bathroom at, and saying what's up to Micah. She notices Micah's in his feelings, and she talks to him about what's going on with his mother and all that stuff, and the talk was needed. Okay, like, let her just live. Okay, she's not you. You are a child, and you will see that a lot of stuff that goes on within these adult relationships. Okay, and it's a lot more than you think. So just let her live a little bit. He understood, and I was just sitting here like, how the hell you gonna get mad? Baby, you was a little pissed off that your daddy was fucking around with prostitutes, but you weren't that pissed off as you was when you just saw your mama kissing this man. I said, he publicly humiliated your mama, okay, and you. And you mad because she going back and getting her groove back with somebody else? Oh, little Michael, you're young, so I understand. But baby, you needed your ass whooped at one point in this show. I'm telling you, you needed a flick in the mouth or whatever. But at that moment, they having a little fun. They open up the place, and it's all good. And they having music. Ralph Angel and Darla over there connecting. I said, what's finna happen? We finna get a little Saffron Crimson Rose finna come. Cause they all up on each other. I said, And then Charlie comes in. Remy, she's stuck in a hard place because she's literally stuck between seeing her son right here and then Remy over there. And Remy comes up and was like, hey, can I get this dance? And she was looking at Micah. At first, Micah was looking like, and then he smiled. I said, oh, so y'all talking, y'all cool. Okay. And that was it. Okay. Next week is going to be some bullshit. It's going to piss me off. I already know. But y'all tell me how y'all feel about this. And I will see you guys later.